It has recently been discovered that some of their species can solve many of our environmental problems. It turns out they can eat plastic, cure disease, and have basically shaped our Earth's biosphere. And all they're doing is responsibly restoring it. Not only that, but there is a theory that we as a species owe mushrooms our birth. How did mushrooms influence the formation of human consciousness? As you may already realize, today we're going to talk about mushrooms. Have you ever thought that there is a realm in the world hidden right in front of your nose that encompasses everything, including you and me? This realm is so special that you could say it represents almost another form of life. Mushrooms are neither plants nor animals, and frankly, they don't even know what sitting still means. It's a separate, secret realm that many people mistakenly categorize as plants, perhaps because mushrooms don't generally move, although who knows what they do when we're not around. When we think of mushrooms, we often picture what we see in the woods or in the supermarket. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, because the fruiting body of a mushroom is only the outward sign of its presence. The mushroom itself is a multitude of tough filaments that together form what is called the mycelium. The mycelium is the body of the fungus that goes deep into the ground, absorbing everything in its path, and even penetrating the wood. Enzymes are the teeth and claws of fungi. We have well-studied unicellular and multicellular organisms such as bacteria, plants, and animals. What makes fungi special is that they form a single communicating network. Their growth and development is completely dependent on what happens in the environment. Whereas an animal, for example, cannot grow a fifth leg if the need arises. Unlike animals, a mushroom's body is constantly changing shape in its endless search for food. There's so much more to discover. Almost every study ends with a new discovery. One of the first experiments on using fungi to decompose plastic was conducted in 2011 by a group of scientists from the University of Amsterdam. The scientists found that the fungi Aspergillus tubangensis could decompose polyethylene terephthalate, PET, which is one of the most common types of plastic. The experiment found that Aspergillus tubangensis fungi can decompose up to 90% of PET in 6 weeks. This means that fungi can significantly reduce the decomposition time of PET in the environment. You may not believe it, but in 2022, scientists from the University of West Anglia and Bristol discovered that mushrooms can communicate with each other using electrical impulses. They studied 4 types of mushrooms: winter blush, oyster mushrooms, and truffles. They inserted tiny electrodes into sections of growing mushrooms and recorded the electrical activity exchanged between the organisms by nutrient-absorbing structures called hyphae. Electrical impulses traveled between the mushrooms, clustered in patterns resembling up to 50 words. The scientists hypothesized that these patterns could be used to communicate information about injury or food availability with distant parts of the fungus. And what about Terence McKenna's theory of the asshole monkey? According to this theory, about 2 million years ago, our ancestors, erect man, began migrating from Africa to Asia and Europe. During their journey, they discovered new flora and fauna, including mushrooms. Psilocybin mushrooms are common in the rainforests where our ancestors lived. It is possible that upright man accidentally ate mushrooms containing psilocybin and had a psychedelic experience. McKenna claimed that this experience altered the consciousness of straight man. Psilocybin can cause changes in perception, thinking, and behavior. This is how we approach the group of mushrooms containing the psychedelic tryptamine alkaloid psilocybin. It causes changes in consciousness, perception, thinking, and behavior. In recent years, there have been several studies that have shown psilocybin can be an effective treatment for a variety of mental disorders, including a 2016 study at Johns Hopkins University showed that psilocybin can be effective in treating depression. A 2017 study at the University of California showed that psilocybin can be effective in treating anxiety. And in 2018, New York University found that psilocybin may be effective in treating alcohol addiction. These studies are still in the early stages, but they show that psilocybin can be an effective treatment for a variety of mental health disorders. It is important to note that psilocybin is a psychedelic and its use can be dangerous. But let's not forget about other important mushroom species. Let me introduce you to mushrooms that feed on insects. Yes, you read that right. These mushrooms inhabit the bodies of insects, suck their life juices, and even manipulate their behavior. Take Boveria bassiana, for example. This fungus secretes toxins that paralyze its victims, beetles, flies, butterflies, and many other insects, and then ruthlessly consumes their nutrients. or Metarhizium anisoplai, another parasitic fungus that uses a similar approach to feast on its defenseless victims. And did you know about Entomophthora muscae, the real scourge of flies? This fungus forms a sporangium around the fly, which explodes when the fly tries to take off. The spores spread through the air, infecting other unfortunate flies. But the most famous of the entomophages is Cordyceps militaris, which steals the minds of ants. It releases toxins that paralyze the ants and then force them to climb a high tree branch where they die. The fungus sprouts from the ant's body and grows as a bright orange fruiting body. The hypothesis that humans and other animals can be considered higher-order mushrooms has been hotly debated recently. Is it possible that we are all mushrooms? This idea is based on the following facts. 1. The human genome is at least 70% composed of fungal genes. This was found by comparing the genomes of different organisms. It turned out that many genes responsible for basic life functions are identical in humans and fungi. 2. Mitochondria, the powerhouses inside our cells, evolved evolutionarily from symbiotic fungi. Billions of years ago, fungi settled inside single-celled organisms, benefiting them. This is how endosymbiosis came about. 3. Fungi play a key role in human digestion. For example, yeast, a genus of fungi, live in the gut and help break down food. Without them, we would not be able to obtain nutrients. 4. Mammalian immunity is much like that of fungi. Some cells perform the same functions as mushrooms, recognizing own and foreign. 5. Nerve fibers of animals resemble mushrooms, they form a branched network. Perhaps the first nervous systems evolved from mushrooms. Have you ever wondered what role mushrooms play in our daily lives? For example, did you know that mushrooms are an integral part of the production of things like cheese, wine, beer, and even bread? Yes, you're not wrong. But what exactly are enzymes, and how exactly do mushrooms produce them? Take Aspergillus niger for example, a species of fungus that is widely used in the food industry to produce an enzyme called amylase. Amylase breaks down starch into sugars, a key step in the production of foods like beer and bread. Or Penicillium roqueforti, a fungus that is used to give Roquefort cheese its unique flavor and texture. This fungus produces enzymes that help ripen the cheese, giving it its distinctive flavor. In medicine, fungi also play an important role. Penicillium chrysogenum, for example, is used to produce penicillin, one of the most famous antibiotics in the world. This fungus produces enzymes that convert simple nutrients into valuable medicinal compounds. So what about preserving the environment? Researchers at the University of Tokyo used Trichoderma rhizae fungi to decompose food waste from the dining halls of university dormitories. The experiment found that Trichoderma rhizae fungi can decompose up to 90% of food waste in 30 days. This means that the mushrooms can significantly reduce the amount of food waste that goes into landfills. In addition to reducing the volume of food waste, the decomposition of this waste by fungi can also help reduce environmental pollution. When food waste decomposes, it releases methane, which is a greenhouse gas. Mushrooms can help reduce methane emissions, thereby helping to combat climate change. How common are mushrooms on the planet in general? They inhabit virtually all natural environments, from the deepest caves to the upper atmosphere. Mushrooms seem to be everywhere. Mycologists estimate the total number of mushroom species at 5 to 6 million, although only a small fraction of them have been described. Fungi are unique in that they have shaped the modern biosphere. Fungi were among the first organisms to develop the land about 500 million years ago. They weathered rocks to form soil and established mutually beneficial relationships with plants, stimulating their development. Thanks to the activities of fungi, the atmosphere was enriched with oxygen, allowing animals to reach the land. Today, fungi continue to play a key role in ecosystems. They enter into symbiosis with the roots of most plants, providing them with nutrition. Ruminants digest cellulose thanks to microscopic fungi in their stomachs. Even humans are no exception. Our skin and mucous membranes are home to beneficial yeasts. Thus, fungi permeate the entire biosphere, supporting life in all its manifestations. But when it comes to fungi in general, the fact that they can influence our consciousness, eat plastic, and shape ecosystems is astounding. It seems like we know obscenely little about all of this. What surprised you most? Write about it in the comments. If you want to understand more about mushrooms, also write in the comments. We'll make another issue. Don't forget to like this video.